Hello, welcome to episode 3 of my YouTube channel entitled Relational Dharma. I'm Robin Stutzman, psychotherapist, author, and longtime mindfulness teacher. In this episode, I'll provide a very brief overview of one of the many wisdom teachings of Buddhist psychology, as well as a brief guided practice, a mindful pause, which is your first critical skill on the path of relational dharma. The 3 wisdom teachings that I've been referring to in these episodes are natural laws that we're mostly unfamiliar with, or if we do have a sense of them, we're not really a fan. We may not live in harmony with them in the way that we live in harmony with other natural laws, such as the fact that water freezes at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or that when we drop things, they fall down, not up, right? In traditional Buddhist psychology, these Dharma teachings are called the 3 characteristics, or the 3 marks of existence. They're inherent facts that are woven through the whole universe. And the awesome thing about these 3 is that when we take a bit of time to grasp them, both by reflection, in practice, and bring them to our daily life, they can be really transformative, including in our difficult interpersonal interactions. More about that later. I think we all might agree that the natural law of gravity, which we do live in harmony with, doesn't really impact the trajectory of most difficult interactions. These 3 inherent characteristics of the universe do. And the first of what I call the 3 is impermanence. And the Pali word for impermanence is anicca. On one level, we all understand this one. We get that the weather changes from day to day. We get that food ages. So to some extent, we have an understanding of the impermanence of things. Some of us even know that every single atom in our body is recycled about every 7 years. But oftentimes, we don't embrace this characteristic, or we only embrace it when things change from unpleasant to pleasant, right? Unfortunately, that sets up a tendency to be unsatisfied when the winds of change reverse and things become unpleasant again. So we get it, but there's resistance to some aspects of impermanence. And this resistance to the impermanent nature of things contributes greatly to our stressful interpersonal moments. This can unfold in a few ways in our challenging interactions. One way it can be a problem is that we can get frustrated if an interaction isn't going well in comparison to the previous one with this person. We can blame ourselves, the other person, or just give up. It's so hard, right? And the other person will likely sense your frustration and become more stressed themselves. So when we remember that things never stay the same, and that what was pleasant will not always remain so, it can help us to find perseverance in such times. Here's another way this can unfold. It's a common experience when we're having a difficult interaction with someone right in the thick of things, to have a feeling that this difficulty is set in stone, that it will be ongoing, and so we feel stuck. And that increases our stress in the moment, which has all sorts of unhelpful influences on the interaction, right? Certainly, when we feel stuck, the other person will sense our stress and become more reactive themselves, especially if they haven't been practicing relational dharma. And then also, when we're not bringing our understanding about impermanence into that moment, we can't approach the moment with beginner's mind. We cling to how it was or how we want it to be, and aren't able to be fully present to this moment in this interaction with this person. I think it's obvious to all of us how that state of affairs can make matters worse. So, these are just a couple of examples of why it's so important that we fully embrace and understand that impermanence is woven into every moment of our lives, and including our interpersonal interactions. We'll discuss the other two of the three in later episodes. And finally, when we're living in harmony with impermanence, fully in this moment, not comparing with the past or seeking to make the next moment pleasant, we're more open to experiencing all the joys and sorrows of life fully. When we really get that every single thing is in the process of arising and passing, every moment is so precious, isn't it? I want to close this episode by introducing a brief practice that can be done anytime, anywhere, and in any circumstance, which will help soothe your stress reaction and bring you into the present moment. As a caveat, though, it's important to be mindful of your level of emotional discomfort before, during, and after any mindfulness practice, especially if you're on a self-guided journey. It's always best to work with a teacher in a class or individually as you dive into mindfulness, but sometimes that's not accessible, I know. I've included my contact information in the comments if you want to participate in a relational Dharma class or work with me individually. We have a rule of thumb that helps us to make wise practice choices. If your level of upset is more than a 6 on a 10-point scale, it may be wiser to find a different sort of relief from your emotional discomfort, like taking a time out from the interaction, finding something pleasant to do, like taking a walk or listening to music, anything that can help you to find ease again. Because mindfulness is not snake oil. It's not always a panacea for states of mind that are overwhelmingly painful. If you're just starting on your mindfulness journey, it's best to seek soothing in another way to begin with, and especially if you're not working with a teacher from whom you can seek guidance. That said, here is a brief practice that can be used anytime, anywhere, in any circumstance, in service of taming your moments of interpersonal reactivity, your mores. I encourage you to close your eyes during this guiding in order to focus more easily on your inner experience, but it's not necessary. And as you become more familiar with this skill, you'll be able to drop into this mindful pause with eyes open when talking, arguing, doing dishes, or even driving. So closing eyes if that's comfortable, and noticing where your body is coming in contact with the outside world. Perhaps the point of contact between the skin and the chair, the sense of the air on the skin or the temperature. Also noticing sensations on the inside of the body, areas of tension or discomfort, an ache, or maybe an area of relaxation or energy. And then next, noticing thoughts that are occurring right now in your awareness, if you can. You may be having thoughts of the future, like what's going to happen next, or the past. Or you may be having thoughts about what's happening right now. It doesn't matter what the thoughts are, you just notice them. And just notice them with a very friendly quality. So not trying to change them in any way and not making a problem of them. Just noticing. And then noticing any emotions that are happening right now, maybe. Maybe not so many, maybe none, but maybe a slight whisper of maybe excitement or irritability, or maybe a big wind of an emotion, a stronger one. Right? Just noticing these emotions, letting them be, and remembering impermanence, that these will pass, right? So not resisting that moment, just letting them be. And then taking a minute to recognize what you may be experiencing in your sense perceptions, like sound, what it is you're hearing in the moment, maybe scent, or taste, or touch again, where the body is touching, hands on the legs, back on the chair. And then bringing awareness back to the body again. In a minute, I'll sound a bell. And waiting until you hear the whole bell from beginning to end, and before opening your eyes and returning to the video. That's it. This practice can be done in 10 seconds. You can pause, check in with the body, noticing your thoughts, physical sensations and emotions, maybe sense perceptions too, and just those few seconds will help your brain self-regulate and therefore help you change the direction of your stressful interaction. In my next episode, I'll discuss another wisdom teaching, as well as offer a longer body-centered guided mindfulness practice. Until next time, be safe, happy, and peaceful.